Okay. Yes, I am. Do you want to know why?
No, I'm ready. Because we're in your favorite class.
Because I'm that movie.
And because I was
Do you want to show us something? I am such a
Well,
great actor.
no.
Oh, you can't even see me.
The reason is a lot of times as teachers we have to go look at other teachers teach and like observations, and we have to go and that's part of like our development as teachers. And I've seen almost every teacher teach because I've gone into their rooms a lot. I've never seen myself teach. If you think about it, it's kind of crazy. And I thought it would be actually good. I wanted to do it for 3 years, but I never have. For me to actually watch myself on tape afterwards and be like, oh, that was really good. Or like, oh, that was, we shouldn't do that again. So that's what I'm doing. Who's ready for the little quiz?
No.
Oh, I
First thing I need,
No, it's not.
your cell phones.
My person.
What I suggest you do is, I'm going to come around. If I don't come around to you, put them in the drawer that Spencer just opened. Thank you. Thank you. Bailey? Pencil? I know. I won't break it, Mia. Promise. You did? Duct tape?
No.
Guys, who is Z-Bone? It's like you almost know one of the answers on this quiz. Alright. Guys? Good. You didn't have to. You didn't have to. Just the one we read at home. This is 4 questions. I know. As soon as it's on your desk, you have to be quiet. This should take about 35 seconds. There are no fill in the blanks. It's all just circle. On the back, I want you to draw an elephant. That's the only instructions I'm given for drawings today.
Oh, an elephant.
An elephant, that's it. There you go. Should take a minute or 2, maybe not even that long. When you're done, flip it over. See? If you're not sure, take a guess. Just guess. Okay, that was quick. Coming around.
I didn't even draw Mia yet.
I know, it's okay.
I didn't draw the butt. That's all I do.
Oh, you should have seen that. That was like.
Thank you, Krish. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry.
Caitlin, Cole.
What is that? What is this?
Thank you.
I couldn't draw the eyes. I drew the tears, but I couldn't draw
Sayla.
the eyes.
Okay, guys, I'm going to go over this really quickly. I'm going to Spencer. I'm going to go over this really quick, and then I'm going to show you what we're doing for the day. It's very simple. You're going to have the last 20 or so, 25 to work on essays. We have 1, 2, 3 things to get done, and they're all very straightforward, which is know how to do a lot of them. And I'm just going to put them on the board in a second. Who is Zebo, Michael?
Calpurnia's son.
Correct. Who said the following? This is not enough. We must have $10. Ava.
Reference sites.
Yes, and you remember he shut the door and made them sweat it out. Yeah. Not what happens in most churches, I don't think. What does he want the money for, Caitlin Bar? Yes, to help Tom Robinson's family because his wife, whose name is
Helen.
yes,
Helen.
It's like a ventriloquist came out of here. To help her because Tom's in jail. Who is Scout talking about in the following quotation? She never let a chance escape her to point out the shortcomings of other tribal groups to the greater glory of our own. If you were to guess, it would just be a new character that we haven't met in the book so far. Alex. Maybe the quickest quiz of the year so far.
Wait, that was number C, right?
That was, I don't know if
Oh,
number,
wait, it was.
yes.
It was number C.
Yes, I don't know if C is a number, but I'll let it go.
Yes, it's
Guys,
like
what you need,
one,
is just your brain for the next, well, I mean for the whole class, but really for the next like 20 minutes.
Wait, but it was C, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Quiz, we're done with it. 2. I'm gonna put off grammar till after this.
Yay.
Yay.
Oh my god. Are really cool. I don't.
That's it. After we finish,
Well, I'm just not good with arguments
Mike,
in the morning.
Alex.
Like, I'm always
After we finish,
Hey.
Spencer. A lot of talking. We're just gonna do these 3 things. Then we're gonna take a break. When we get back from break, I have a worksheet for you that is that has quotes on it. I'm feeling very generous. I might switch the grammar out of there and do the worksheet instead. The worksheet's one of those where you give you a quote when you work in groups. You like that stuff? What I need for you to get out now is something to take notes with: computer, pen and paper, slate, and a rock.
What
Yep.
I'm ready.
That would be the
Alex, you got something to write with? Does everybody have a pen or a pencil? Paper, you're ready.
Just like restart.
Okay. We have a question that's going up on the board. I want you to, before you shout out any answers, I want you to write the question in your notes, and I want you to just think about it on your own for 3 minutes. And use your own, pick your own family. This is chapter 13. We read chapter 12 in class. I'm going to talk about it a little, but I think we talked about it a lot while we were reading. Chapter 13 is a little different, sometimes hard to understand, but I'm going to break it down very simply. The first question is, and it should be in your notes, what type of parenting style works best? You can use your own family or friends or experiences you've seen on television or in the movies. What do you think works best? Emmy said niceness. Perfect. Oh, and it could be the opposite. You could think being strict works best. So write it in your notes. Yes. Okay. Richard, what do you think? Just bullet points, jot down some notes. Yep. There's no right or wrong answer. Yeah.
having discipline, but
Like,
being.
in your notes. It's good, but in your notes, write it. You can just jot down bullet points. What type of parenting works best, in your opinion?
Doesn't work.
Pen and paper. Just use pen and paper. We're not taking extensive notes that you need to be responsible for. So pen and paper is fine. Another 2 minutes, that's it. Your own notes, guys. You have different parents.
Oh, exactly what I parents do.
No, but it could, you should learn from your own. Okay. Simple, right? Everyone talk about it. I'm gonna go with Michael. He's got that serious stare. What type of parenting style works best for you?
Giving freedom, but disciplining for using freedom wrong.
Freedom. I'm just gonna put the big keywords here. Freedom, discipline. Anybody have those? I know somebody had those. Ella, what do you have?
I think
Discipline. Strict discipline.
no, just well, I mean, yeah, strict, but
Not too strict. Someone over here. So
Like, don't give them too much, but give them like what they want, but not everything that they want. And like, you don't want to spoil them.
don't spoil. Ella. Trust. Huh. That's an interesting one. Mia and then Jake.
Supportive.
Support. You guys can take these down in your notes if you don't have them in your list already. Jake.
Well, kind of reward them for doing good, but maybe not like a full reward, just being more friendly. And then if they do something wrong, you should use some more stern.
So is there punishment involved?
Yes.
No one said punishment. I'm not going to put it up there if no one says it.
It-
You said discipline. It's a different word. Chris, what do you got?
Same
Same thing? That's fine. Annie.
I think you want to like set and enforce rules, but then you also want to have like trust your kids until they break your trust.
Oh, so
Then you don't
like-
discipline.
like in a courtroom, innocent until proven guilty, right?
Yeah.
You don't want your parents to say, Alex, just that look on your face, I know you did something. You have to prove it otherwise. Look at that. Look at his face. He did something. What else? Sophie.
When your kids are mad, listen to them so they can learn to use their words.
Say it again.
When your kids are mad, listen to them so they can learn to use their words. Like, don't just think, like, parents shouldn't just think one thing, they should let them get their kids after something.
So I'm gonna put listen, and then what she also said is don't automatically judge or assume. That is one of the keywords of the day today. Assume. It's been kind of a keyword of the book so far. Emil, what do you got?
Well, I just think too much discipline and enforced rules can damage trust.
Mm-hmm.
So I really don't think they're the best things in parenting.
Okay.
Like, giving someone freedom but punishing them for using it wrongly, I think is just sort of, what would you call that? Like, maybe hypocritical? I don't know.
Hypocritical?
It goes against itself, like
Mhm.
saying, here's all this money, but if you don't spend it on the things I want you to spend it on, I'll take it back. So,
But like,
like,
I have these cousins who are a little out of control and they can basically do whatever they want. They're crazy. They're like 5 and 4. But their parents don't discipline them at all. And when they're around us, I'm like the one telling them, no, you can't do that. But their parents are like, I'm not happy with you right now, but I still love you. And then it's overly reassuring to them because they feel that they can just do it again. They don't discipline them.
Ella, then Ava.
I think parents have to be dependent, like they have to depend on their kids too.
Oh, so it's not just we depend on our parents for everything. They have to depend. Good. Ava, and then Spencer, and then I'm gonna move
I
on.
think that parents need to have empathy.
Oh, the E word. I'll give it its own board. Empathy. Why, Ava?
Because they wouldn't be able to understand what their kids, like, what the situation their kids are, and they think of themselves, like, since they are grown up, they have already gone through it.
Yes.
They need to be able to relate to their
Oh, who has shown empathy in To Kill a Mockingbird so far?
Atticus
Atticus, how?
by understanding that his kids were under a lot of pressure when he told them to act like a finch.
Right, not fight people. Who else has shown empathy? Annie.
Oh, I was gonna raise my hand, but I thought
Hold on. Anyone? Yeah. Amelia.
well, Atticus Finch again with Miss Dubose.
Mm-hmm.
Like the way he talks about her, that he understands that she's like an old lady and she's ill with a morphine addiction.
Uh-huh. Ella. Calpurnia, how's she shown empathy?
She helps them, like she takes them to church and she helps them things in their daily lives.
And she understands what it's like for them when they go to church and people are mad that they're bringing white kids to the black church, right? She understands that. I gotta move on. Why, on the other board, are we even talking about this? I know your parents. That's not why we're talking about this. Why do you think I'm mentioning this? Especially with chapter 13. Who comes into the picture, Sophie? Aunt something. Aunt Alexandra.
Alex.
What is Aunt Alexandra's parenting style, Caitlin?
Well, I mean, she's kind of controlling.
Yeah, kind of controlling. She is very controlling. What else?
Oh,
Wait, actually, before that.
Right.
Yeah, you should write this down.
She likes to beat dead horses.
To beat dead horses is a turn of phrase, yes.
Oh.
It just means like, Spencer, what does it mean?
It's like, if you're beating a dead horse, there's no point to it because it's already dead, so like, why are you even beating it?
Just going on and on about something you already said.
Yeah.
No, we're not eating
I
horses.
said eating dead
Caitlin.
horses.
Actually, Caitlin gave controlling. Let's hear Colt. Why is she controlling? Specifics. What is she controlling about?
Well, she always like telling people like how to be and like what they need to do.
Specifics. Who?
Scout.
Tell Scout.
She's a
Tell Scout to quote, and I put it in quotes because it's not the first time it's come up in this book. Act like a girl or a lady. Yeah. Does Scout want to do that?
No.
Oh. Does Atticus ever tell her that?
Yeah.
Does he act like a girl?
No.
No, Atticus never does,
I
right?
thought when you did Sandria, like,
Well, no, he was like
convinced
being
him he was.
Oh, that's the end of the chapter. We're getting to that, I promise.
Yeah, see, he does.
She also has like boarding school manners, so she like is really like strict about like manners.
Controlling with manners. Very strict about it. Have you ever had a parent or someone at your house and your mom or your dad say, come on and meet this person? And you have to say, hello, how are you? Nice to meet you. Right? We talked about last class about the way you talk in different situations, right? You wouldn't go up to meet this new person, be like, hey, what's up, parents, friends, how you doing? You would be formal. Aunt Alexandra wants that all the time, right? What else is on Alexandra's parenting style? Salem. What? How else does she parent? What's her style of parenting besides controlling? You think, Ella.
She's, I don't know if strict is the right word, but she's really particular about things.
Let's put that word, particular. She wants things a certain way. Ava.
She's bossy.
She's bossy. Exactly. She's very bossy. What is she bossy about? And Ella, what is she particular about?
She is particular about the way Scout dresses.
Dresses. It's okay. What else? What's she particular or bossy about?
Her manners.
Her manners, yeah. What else? Ava, did you have one?
No.
Yeah.
To act like a girl and not be like, yeah, let's go and ride the super roller coaster.
Right.
Not for me.
Mia.
She's particular about the family name.
Oh, okay. The family name. I'm glad you mentioned that because now we have to talk about that. Before, however, we talk about that, we gotta just make a little divider on the board. We gotta quickly mention Atticus's style as a parent. We haven't really talked about him as a dad yet. We've talked about him as a lawyer, as a friend to the black community.
Are we gonna keep going on Alexandra's parenting style? Or are we done with that?
We're done with that.
Okay.
You can make a slash in your notes. Atticus's style as a dad. Look on the other board. What does he do on that other board?
He doesn't
Freedom.
He doesn't spoil.
He gives them
He listens.
He supports them.
He supports. You guys are all shouting him out. This is good. He listens. He trusts. He never says, "Oh, don't go by the Radley house." He casually mentions, "Stop antagonizing him," but he doesn't say, "I want you at the house at this time of night." He gives him a lot of freedom. What else? What else does he do?
Oh, he
Support.
rewards them.
Yeah. What does he reward them with?
Well, doesn't he give them a box of candy or something?
He comes home with a football magazine for jam and some candy. Yeah. What else? Is he the kind of dad you think would be a good role model?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why?
Because he's nice.
Well,
He's nice.
He's standing up for what he believes.
He's standing for what he believes, Bailey.
He's like, yeah, that's like what Alex said, and like he's really hardworking.
So we think of him as a role model. So get that down. Take a deep breath. We're going to move into something else. I'm going to try to get the air a little cooler in here. Might freeze you guys out. There's a word that Aunt Alexandra brings up a lot in chapter 13. Starts with an H. There's lots of words that start with H. I can find it in my book. Did you remember that she talks about the caste system in
Yeah.
Macomb? That's not the word exactly I was looking for.
That's the history of man.
That was the narrator that was Scout saying that there was a system. I'm going to, yeah, Mia.
Isn't it hereditary?
Yes! The H word. Now if I can just find an eraser. It starts with an E.
It's right there.
Thank you. The reason we talked about families and parenting is because Aunt Alexandra is very hung up on the idea of
Hereditary.
heredity or things that are hereditary. Heredity, this is a good word to write down. This takes the idea of hasty generalizations that we were talking about and making false assumptions about people. Takes it even further. Emil has magically found dictionary.com and he's going to tell us what it means.
Heredity is sort of your family history, name, or genetics.
Yes.
It's your heredity.
I'm going to put Mia's word there, family name / and the real dictionary definition is passing on of characteristics. Say it again.
Genetically from one generation to another.
From one generation to another. You've taken science class, there are some things that are genetically passed down. For example, I'm not a scientist, so I don't know. But what are some things that are passed down?
Your hair color.
Hair color.
Like how you look.
Yeah, your actual structure.
Your religion.
Religion's not passed down.
Characteristics.
These are genetic. These are things you're born with that come from your family.
Sometimes like diseases and stuff are hereditary.
Some diseases are hereditary, exactly. Religion is
Like a choice.
religion is a choice, but it's funny because religion in 1930s in Macomb is what? How would you describe it?
Sort of defined.
It's almost like you're born. You are born this way. You are a Catholic. This is how you live, or you are Methodist, or whatever it is. Family name. I'm going to read you a quote. This is on page 173 in your books. It is, does anyone need a book? There are some floating around. 173 in your book, 147 in this book. You got one, it should be 173 in Mia's book and Jake's book. I annotated it last time I read it, and I annotated it again last night. I think you'll know what I'm talking about when I say it. I'm actually going to read I'm going to read 4 paragraphs. Starts in the middle of, sorry, it should be 173 in your book. It starts, Aunt Alexandra in underlying the moral of young Sam Merriweather's suicide. Aunt Alexandra, in underlining the moral of young Sam Merriweather's suicide, said it was caused by a morbid streak in the family. Let a 16-year-old girl giggle in the choir, and Auntie would say, "It just goes to show you all the Penfield women are flighty." Everybody in Macomb, it seemed, had a streak. A drinking streak, a gambling streak, a mean streak, a funny streak. So, knowing what we know about science, are those...
This is the bottom of them.
172, sorry. Are those passed down? Humor?
No.
No. It's learned, or it's adapted. You learn from your people around your family, but Alexandra seems to think you're born, this is your family name, this is how you are. Once, when Auntie assured us that Miss Stephanie Crawford's tendency to mind other people's business was hereditary, Atticus said, "Sister, when you stop to think about it, our generation's practically the first in the Finch family not to marry its cousins. Would you say the Finches have an incestuous streak?" Atticus is kind of, how do you say it? Yeah, challenging her, exactly. Auntie said, "No, that's where we got our small hands and feet." I never understood her preoccupation with heredity. Somewhere I had received the impression that fine folks, capitalized, were people who did the best they could with the sense they had. It's not there. Who gave her that impression? Yeah, Atticus, he's impressed that upon her throughout the whole book. Fine people are good people, yeah.
Why are fine folks capitalized?
It's just her way of kind of accentuating it. Fine folks, like they're making it a proper noun, are people who did the best they could with the sense they had. But Aunt Alexandra was of the opinion, obliquely expressed, that the longer a family had been squatting on one patch of land, the finer it was. So Aunt Alexandra thinks, if you're entrenched, if you've been somewhere for generation after generation after generation, you are solid, good people. What does Scout answer? How does Scout answer that?
That it would make the
Yeah, read it,
people.
Emil.
It's that makes the Yules fine folks then, said Jem. The tribe of which Burris Yule and his brethren consisted had lived on the same plot of earth behind the Macomb dump and had thrived on county welfare money for 3 generations.
Good, thank you. So, back to family name. You should have this in your notes already. I'm writing it again. What are the the dangers of putting so much stock, so much weight into your family name. Bailey, and then
Your kids, like, if they don't want to pursue, like, the family name, like, whatever it is, then that's, like, a lot of pressure on them.
Pressure. Good. Spencer.
There's gonna be like almost like stereotyping.
Yes, there's going to be stereotyping. I don't know if I spelled that. Yes, I did. There's going to be stereotyping. Oh, you're a blank family. You must be blank. You must be flighty, or you must be drinkers, or gamblers, or mean, or funny.
What does flighty mean?
Flighty means kind of like, you're not really paying attention, or you're kind of ditzy is another word for it.
It might be the only thing that's going to define you.
Yes, it's defining. Defining, as we talked about multiple times, can be kind of dangerous, right? If you're defined without you having any input into it. So Caitlin walks into the class and we say, oh, there's McGuire. You know the McGuires, they're all, if we say, oh, they're all have brown hair, oh, that's okay. That's heredity. That's harmless. If we all say, they're all thieves, what have I done to Caitlin?
Like, judge her, like, stereotyped her as a thief.
Yeah, I've stereotyped her. She is now that, Caitlin.
It's kind of like your family's digging you a hole that you can't get out of.
Yes.
Like people like think, oh, this is like your certain way. Even if they do something else, they're not going to pay attention to it unless it's like what their family has set them up.
Yes, you are now dug into a hole. You can't escape. Sorry, no, freezing. I just turned hair off. Pigeonholed is another word for this, or hasty generalization is what we've been talking about. Spencer.
It's sort of like what Caitlin said, but if you do something that your family doesn't do, the family could be mad at you or disappointed in you.
There's going to be disappointment, possibly. So before we had, oh yeah, Billy.
They won't feel like accepted in the family. If they
Acceptance. Perfect. Before we had the Ewells and we had the Cunninghams, but mostly we've been, how is To Kill a Mockingbird, the population of To Kill a Mockingbird been separated by what? Looking right at you. How have we been separating people in this book? Yeah, white, black. I knew it. Aunt Alexandra seems to think it goes deeper than that. There's things passed on between families. And I'm going to take just general questions about this chapter in a second, but Aunt Alexandra is kind of the social, what's the word? Butterfly. She's a social butterfly. She's involved in every activity, which means she's involved in everybody's business, and she knows everything. Any just general questions about the chapter? I think we covered the big themes. No, you're not that break yet. We got 10 minutes. I will give you time to work on your mini essay. It's due tomorrow at 3 p.m.
Oh, it's due.
Oh, I already gave you.
That's
Diane.
You're not joking this time.
I'm not joking. This is a PPP sheet. P stand for what? Person.
Place or thing. Oh wait.
Person.
Oh.
They stand for person, picture, and I don't know if you remember the last P is purpose. Not porpoise. Purpose, as in why is this important? We're going to do this, guys, listen up. No, we're not going to do this in groups. We are going to do this
In groups of one.
as a group of all of us together at the same time. You just need a pen, or you have one pen. This first one can Jake read it.
The quote or
The quote. Oh, sorry, I'll read the directions. For each passage, write who is talking, the person, first P, what they're discussing, the second P, then explain why, the third P, this passage is important to the theme or themes of the book so far. Again, there's 3. We're just going to do the first 3.
Okay.
Jake, read the first one.
Supposing a scout talked colored folks talk at home. It'd be out of place, wouldn't it? Now what if I talked white folks talk at church and with my neighbors? They'd think I was putting on airs to eat Moses.
It's not eat Moses, that's the typo, it's beat Moses, that's my fault. No one's eating Moses. That term to eat Moses is not entered our vernacular or language. But what does putting on airs from last time, what does putting on airs mean, Cole? Krish, putting on airs. Remember what it means from last time?
It means like being like
Acting.
Yes.
Acting what? There's a word that goes with
Oh,
that.
superior.
You got it. You started, you finished. Good. Acting superior. So we did this one last time sort of while we were reading. Suppose you and Scout talk. Who are they talking about? Or rather, who's talking? Calpurnia. And this one goes with the different ways of talking, the sort of double life that Calpurnia has to lead. Number 2. Oh my God, it's like we just talked about that. I never understood. Oh, with number 1, we're just putting Calpurnia in the sort of double life that she leads. We talked about that last time in our notes. This was sort of a review.
So the double life
She leads a double life. She's one way at church with people from her community, and she's one way at the Finch house, right?
Why aren't we putting person, picture, and verses?
Because originally this was going to be like a longer thing, but I want you guys to have time to write your essay, so I'm shortening it. We're doing it together. If it were group work, it would be you'd do the whole PP process. P is also a process. I never understood her preoccupation with heredity. Somewhere I received the impression that fine folks were people who did the best they could with the sense they had. But Aunt Alexandra was of the opinion, obliquely expressed, that the longer family had been squatting on one patch of land, the finer it was. So we just talked all about family name and all of that, why it could be dangerous. What is Scout, how is Scout sort of challenging it right after this quote in the book? What is Scout sort of, and what does she say on the outside?
Wait, is this
That must
That was
mean
Jan.
that they're fine folks.
Right, so does Aunt Alexandra's claim about heredity hold up in Scout's eyes?
No.
No, so write something like,
So Scout said this or Scout's?
Scout said this. But the idea is that if everybody is, if you just stay on your land long enough, that makes you good. It doesn't hold up when it comes to who? The Ewells, the Ewell family, right? I didn't ask that correctly, Michael, I'm sorry. So with number 2, I would just say, let's just write the Ewells sort of disprove, right on board. The Ewells disprove, so it means prove it incorrect, aunt's theory. They disprove the aunt's theory about being on your land makes you a fine person. The aunts, you can just put Aunt or Aunt Alexandra. You guys are doing awesome. We just have one more. Just the aunt's theory that if you've been staying on your land, squatting on your patch of land, the finer you are. We got one more. Caitlin, read this one.
Atticus persevered in spite of us. She asked me to tell you must try to behave like the little lady and gentleman that you are. She wants to talk to you about the family and what it's meant to make them Tommy through the years, so you'll have some idea of who you are, so you might be able to review the party. He concluded at a time.
Okay. This was towards the very end of the chapter. Do you remember the conversation?
Yeah.
Between Atticus
And who? And the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, he came in sort of after he had been talking with Anna Alexandra. And who, I didn't put the rest of it on here, but this should give you enough idea of what's Scout's reaction after this.
He's like,
Caitlin.
seems really He just kind of gets upset at that, like, she said that's completely wrong, and that's not what you've been teaching them.
That's not your what?
way of parenting.
Yeah, that's not your style of parenting. That's not what you've been teaching us, right? So it's really interesting. Atticus has his style, right? Which things like on the board, yes, he supports them, he trusts them, he listens to them, he's empathetic. Alexander shows up, and all of a sudden, they're being told, you have to be a lady, you have to act accordingly like a Finch acts, right? Does Scout and Jem ever mention at all the way Finches are supposed to act in this book?
No.
No, they just go about living. No.
Atticus might be trying to impress his older sister.
He might impress his older sister, might be trying to, but if we go on page 178, sorry, hold for a second. What does Scout know about this little speech he gives them?
It was kind of fake. Like,
He
he didn't really mean it.
He was sort of under the influence of
He was even put up to it. He says, this was not my father. My father never thought these thoughts. My father never spoke so. Aunt Alexandra put him up to this somehow. So Aunt Alexandra's parenting style clashes with Atticus' style, right? Their parenting styles clash, and now he wants to impress upon them this idea that you're Finches now. You have to behave like Finches. You have to behave like a proper little girl. Does that make sense, guys?
Yeah.
This is the first time they're being taught that. You have to act like a proper girl. You have to behave like Finches according to the family name. Atticus, like he said the last thing, he's a role model. He acts the same way like we talked about last time. He acts the same way no matter where he is. He's a good example of how to be upstanding and hardworking. This was Atticus talking. It's okay, guys. The idea is that they're being told about the family name now. You have to behave according to the family name. Does it all make sense?
Yeah.
Do you have any questions about the chapter? You guys want to take a break? Yeah. Okay, come back in 4.5 minutes. That's 8:44.5. Hey, Trish. Okay, stay away from your phones. You alright? Oh, you're paid.
You might not have room.
Selah and Sophie and Mia, how was that essay coming?
Mr. Liebowitz came out, we're saying had so many things, and like I have so much work I have to do, so like I try to find time to do it.
Will this next half an hour or so, 20 minutes, help
Yeah,
you?
so I've helped
Okay,
her definitely.
good.
Oh, you watch yourself teach?
Oh, I thought